Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today's Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, and we're here for a town board and a CDA meeting. As always, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Tim, can you please take the lead?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim and Bob. Since Frank is away, do you want to introduce the member of our faith community?
Yes, can I see
And that would be?
Here.
Father Larry.
It's Father Larry, so
From?
I'd like to introduce Father Larry Dunkley.
From?
Of St. John's, the Evangelist Roman Catholic Church of Riverhead. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Father.
It's nice to be back here. The evening is better than the afternoon one for me. So, as we open with a prayer, let us be mindful of the people in Puerto Rico and Japan and the Middle East who are dealing with the terrific storms. Also for the concerns that we face here in our hometown. God of all seasons, we thank you for autumn, which is upon us now. We thank you for the touch of the coolness in the air. It gives us a new burst of energy. For the coloring of the trees that shows the creativity of the divine artist. We thank you for the falling leaves that reveal the strength of the branches that held those leaves for so long. For the hues of fields that bring peace to our souls. For the smiles soon to be carved on pumpkins that bring joy to children. For a fall harvest here in the harvest land of our island, which brings great gratitude. For the bounty of our land, for this change of seasons that reveals the circle of life. God of all seasons, as you transform the earth, continue to transform each of us in our own lives and in our community and our community itself. We trust in your Spirit to do this. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father Larry.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Father. And Bob, I believe you have an announcement today to make?
Yes, so as everyone can see, we have a new clock with a timer. So it's an easy-to-read visual aid. It shows the current time, and the 5-minute countdown will be in effect. This is so that everybody and anybody who wants to come up and speak gets 5 minutes to speak, and I think we owe that to each other. In fairness, sometimes this room gets packed, and sometimes people will go on for a while. So with that, thank you for respecting the clock. We respect you.
And of course, that doesn't apply to public hearings where the time is unlimited, or scoping hearings. Okay, this is only for comments sections of the town board meetings. Okay, we have a very busy agenda moving today, so moving forward, can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting and open the community development meeting?
So moved.
Diane, can you please call the vote?
Second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. Certainly. Kern.
Yes.
Rothfeld.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The town board meeting is closed and the CDA meeting is now open.
Okay, Dawn Thomas, our CDA director, is here today to conduct her CDA meeting. Good evening, Dawn.
Well, good evening, Supervisor and board members and members of the Community Development Agency wearing your other hat. We have only on this evening one resolution to approve the minutes of the August 16th, 6 p.m. meeting, and then we'll just do open comments on any CDA matters. So if we could have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the August 16th CDA meeting?
So moved.
Seconded?
Kern,
Yes.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrott's absent, Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are adopted, and then I guess we'll take open comment from the public on all CDA matters.
Does any member of the public want to come forward to discuss any CDA matter?
Good evening. John McAuliffe from Roanoke Landing in Riverhead. I just have to start out by noting, as I did in the meeting last week, or the last meeting rather, that I think it is problematic that you are opening the door to the Russian mafia in Riverhead and sitting behind a Ukrainian flag at this moment of history. So I've said my piece on that. The primary reason I wanted to talk is about the step forward that is being made on the transfer from CDA to IDA of EPCAL. It was a little odd, I have to admit, that when we talked about an application being submitted, I assumed mistakenly that the board, or the CDA rather, was submitting an application rather than that it was simply an attachment to a letter from the Germasians' lawyer. The document is there, the content is there, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I think that it just seemed like the tail wagging the dog, which is not an unfamiliar part of this process. We all know that the original Illuminati contract came from the Illuminati computer to the board at that point. We know that everyone has said that the contract is a buyer's contract, not a seller's contract. The supervisor has said on several occasions that it is a terrible contract and not one that she would have ever accepted professionally as a seller. So we're in the same situation now with a new version of the Germasians' Dog and Pony Show, their aspirational letter. It's a nice letter. It's a public relations letter. It says, I don't want to misquote them, that well, I'm not going to quote them directly because I'm not going to get the language, but it basically is talking about how this, here we go. CAT contemplates a research and manufacturing part which will rank as an equal to any other such park in the United States and internationally. First of all, contemplates, I mean, you know better than I how much that's a weasel word. I can contemplate that we're going to mint gold from sand at EPCAL. It means nothing. Contemplate means nothing, and to think, I mean, it would be lovely to have such a facility at EPCAL, but there's nothing in the documentation that sustains that contemplation. The other thing that is worth noting, and people should look at this document carefully. It's available on the town website. Again, it's a letter from the attorney for the Germasians is the document they're going to be looking for. I think particularly people who bought land or houses since 1995, since the closure of Grumman, need to think about the implications of what is in this letter. If helicopters have made people crazy, and I think legitimately so, I think we have to imagine what the flight paths of industrial aviation will do to those who have residences there, but also to everyone else in Riverhead and further east. This is a major, I think it was striking, this has been in other documents, but it's striking how much emphasis there is on the 10,000-foot runway, on using the language as their first, the first example they give of its use is industrial aviation. They talk about logistics building. They talk about warehouse distribution and logistics. I mean, they also talk about their ideas for high tech and transportation and a variety of other things. And all those are good aspirations, but they're aspirations. They're not any kind of guaranteed project.
John,
Thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John? Okay, anyone else from the audience want to come forward? Chip, do we have anyone online?
I have someone raising their hand, I don't know which section they want to speak in, but.
Can you ask them if it's a CDA-related
I don't know,
comment?
there's no chatting, if they just raise their hand, so I just.
Okay, I thought you could email them back.
Sid Dale, and he's not responding. You want to try him out?
Bring them up.
Bring them up?
Yeah, see if
Let's
he,
go.
Somebody wants
yeah.
to comment on it.
You're on, Mr. Bale?
Hi, Sid, do you have a CDA comment? Is his voice on? Is this, not yet? Bid we have you up, or did you have a CDA comment to make?
No CDA comment, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
do you, later on, you would like to make one,
Six-
so we know?
6:15 hearing and the 6:25.
No problem, so raise your hand again then, okay, we're gonna reset
I'm
you.
sorry.
It's okay. No problem. Okay, anyone else from the audience want to come forward to make a comment regarding CDA on any matter? Well, thank you, Dawn.
Okay,
We can close.
Motion and a second to close the CDA meeting and open the town board meeting.
Motion?
Second,
Kern,
yes.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
The CDA meeting is closed and the town board meeting is open.
thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
All right, I understand we have not received the minutes from our last, for the last meeting, so we're gonna move right along, and Diane, can you report the figures and any correspondence, please?
Certainly. Under correspondence, the Greater Jamesport Civic Association sent comments on the New York State Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act. Gerald and Mary Nichols sent comments on NP Developers Logistics Center. Frank Caballero sent a letter with comments on proposed warehouse on Middle Road in Calverton. Francis Marino sent a letter in opposition to proposed building. Robert Gass sent comments on the proposed NP Developers Logistics Center. Lisa Jensick sent a letter in opposition to the proposed distribution warehouses. I did get several others in regard to warehouse building and logistics center, and that was 3 of them. Carmine Annabelle, Louis Abate, and this one was from Judith.
Diane, they're,
Look out.
to
They
interrupt you,
can't hear
but
me?
they're commenting, they can't hear you, sorry.
I guess I have to turn this way.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, thank you. Okay, and under reports, the police department submitted their August monthly report. Building department submitted their August monthly report, and that was $117,284. And the tax receiver submitted their utility collection report, $566,634.53.
Great. Thank you, Diane, and we are now going to open up the public meetings. We have quite a few of them today. Today's first meeting was scheduled for 6:05. It is now 6:21. And we are opening a public hearing for the Riverhead Water District proposed lateral main replacement at 205 Osborne Avenue in Riverhead. Our Water District Superintendent is here with us today, and he will review the matter with you. Frank, can you please come forward? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Frank Mancini, the Riverhead Water District Superintendent. In this case, we're extending or improving the facilities of the water district, not the boundary. So 205 Osborne, the developer is paying to increase the main diameter and replace hydrants in the area. So it is an improvement of the district. It's to support their project, and they're paying for it.
That's good to hear, because
Yeah.
we have not witnessed much of this here in Riverhead in the past, when we should have. So it's great to hear, and that's going to support our infrastructure and cost the taxpayers less money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, they were fair to deal with, this developer.
great. So we have here with us today. Did you want to come forward?
We have our engineer, John Collins, if anybody's got any technical questions.
Oh, okay. Did you want to make a statement, John, or no? You just here to answer questions?
I'm here to answer Frank's questions that he can
No problem, so, I got it, a buddy system.
Yeah, there's a whole engineering report associated with it, so some of the questions could be technical.
Okay, great, so do any members of the public wish to come, make a comment on this?
Good evening, Mike Foley in Reeves Park. This is really a general question on where the water is drawn from. Frank, all this water is drawn from the aquifer, correct?
Yes.
And the aquifer obviously is tied into our entire water system. That's our only source of water.
Mike, can you just ask all of your questions and then Frank respond after?
Well,
This way we're not jumping around too
I'm trying not to jump around, I'm just trying to make a quick point, Eric, and that is that the aquifer as a sole source of all water supply needs to be protected. And any threat to the aquifer is a threat to Suffolk County. And one of the things that we're talking about here and in the town is monitoring landfills to make sure that there is no pollution or anything else. And we have recently uncovered a proven bad actor in the owner of the CMA Mine Company. This is a company that owned the mulch farm that proceeded without permits, resulting in a large fire. And right now, CMA is running without any monitoring by the town of Riverhead, to my knowledge. The only people that are monitoring it, and I'll ask Frank to confirm this, is the DEC, correct?
Mike, there's two different properties here. So the mulch fire happened at one property, and my understanding is CMA is at a different property.
It is a different property with the same owner. And
Same owner, yes.
and the CMA mine presently has an application before the DEC that the town had the good sense to file an Article 78 on, because the CMA mine was contemplating and seeking an application from the DEC to permeate the aquifer by going 89 feet down, right next to a toxic landfill that we are monitoring now under a 30-year rule. And that will be part of the resolutions as well. But I think the water itself, we're talking about expanding water, bringing in pipes, bringing more water out of the aquifer, which shows the need for us to protect our aquifer. And I believe it's absolutely related to this. And I want the board and I want Frank, and I'd like certainly you, Eric, as the town attorney, to take a look at what we can do to make sure that CMA Mine, which by its inaction and its failure to act lawfully in a town mulch area without permits, what is it possible that they're doing without any monitoring right now by the town of Riverhead or the DEC? And what negative impact would it have, not just on this project, but on the entire aquifer system of Suffolk County?
So,
And that's it, that's really,
two quick points.
sure.
Our code enforcement office has been in contact with the owner concerning the mulch fire and whatever activities going on at that property. That's one issue that's being dealt with. Second issue is CMA Mines, and my understanding that litigation is ongoing. All right, so we're not at a end point there, but your point is well taken to look at the project more and see if there's anything else we can do.
And I'll bring that up under the resolutions comments that
Yes.
I have, Erica. You're absolutely right. It's a critical point right now, because I think we're looking at somebody that is a threat, a real threat to the drinking water of our entire county. And did I stretch a little bit by getting up here with him? A little bit. Thank you very much.
Big time. I'm surprised somebody got it.
You want me to answer some stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I think this is a good point, and I think there's a misunderstanding of the delineation of responsibility in the aquifer and who manages. The aquifer is actually a state, according to the state of New York, the state owns the aquifer. So the DEC is responsible for monitoring things like that, whether it be CMA Mines or that mulch pile. And where we come in, the town would only be responsible for monitoring something that perhaps it caused, like a landfill or something. And they do that. Where we would interact is if I were to, say, apply for a well withdrawal permit from the DEC, we all use the same modeling in something called a source water assessment, where that well is modeled and what it will capture when that precipitation hits the ground and the length of time it takes to get into the screen zone is something we call a SWAT map, and we use those. So the DEC might bring that up and say, well, I'm not comfortable with that. because you've got this thing in your capture zone. And you've seen me take action, like, say, with Island Water Park, when I use those resources as a tool and say, well, I don't know what you're doing is gonna be bad, but I'm concerned enough that I'd like you to put a monitoring well here and monitor the groundwater as it comes moving to my well, because I know it's gonna come to the well, and I have a rough idea of the time frame. So that's what we're responsible for. I notice a lot of the public comments, there's just a misunderstanding of who's responsible for what type of monitoring. Like private wells, it's not the town's responsibility to test a private well, it would be the state of New York. The DEC works with the New York State Health Department, tests private wells and takes action based on what they find. So a lot of times people are yelling at us like we're not taking action, but the town is doing exactly what it should be. It's just a misunderstanding of who's actually responsible for what type of monitoring. Was that a good one?
It's an excellent answer, and I don't question for a second the town's lack of diligence in this project. In fact, the town spent good money suing the DEC because we felt the DEC was about to rule in favor of CMA penetrating the aquifer. And unfortunately, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, the state decided that our Article 78 was not ripe for a hearing, meaning that because the DEC has not as of yet approved the application, we were suing them early. We had to wait until they approved the application before we could sue them. And of course, once that happens, they're already digging, and here's my concern for the town board and especially for Eric and Frank. We see CMA playing fast and loose with the rules. They are in a contract right now that's allowing them activity at CMA mines. But that activity, I have absolutely no faith that they are confining their activity to the permit that they presently are in hold of. For all we know, they're digging deeper right now, and there's no question the DEC is supposed to monitor it. But what can we as a town do when we feel the DEC might not be doing their job? Don't we have the ability within the footprint of the town of Riverhead to implement our own monitoring to ensure that they're not doing anything in the short term under the auspices and guidance of the DEC to poison us as residents of Riverhead? I think it's something we have to take a hard look at. Thanks. Frank, stick around.
There are public hearings for the DEC, like for the mining. I participate in those. So one thing you could do is get involved in that and question the DEC. I send them emails and participate in those public hearings on behalf of the water district.
Let me know, Franco. Ryan, you open by your beer after.
Okay, any members of the public want to come further? No? How about Chip? Anybody?
Follow Larry.
Oh, Father Larry.
It's directed to the water, but not to this particular issue. I was just curious. We had a mini drought this past few months. Mm-hmm. And further east, they put restrictions. We didn't.
We handled it, the superintendent handled it very well.
We had voluntary restrictions.
Yeah, we had voluntary.
Restrictions. Okay, I didn't see, we weren't told we couldn't water. So, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Any members of the board want to comment? No. Okay. So we are now going to close the public portion of this hearing. We're going to leave it open for written comments until 4:30 p.m. on September 30th, 2022 at the town clerk's office.
Eric, did you have to keep that one open?
No.
Okay, so now, moving forward, our next public hearing was scheduled for 6:10. The time now is 6:31. And we are now opening up a public hearing regarding the Riverhead Water District water main, that's going to be a second one. Which one is that? Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's going to be for the water main extension North Fork developers. And again, Frank, it's your turn. We're going to have the our Riverhead Water District Superintendent briefly discuss this topic with us. You're back again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so this is a 10-lot subdivision. They're installing about 900 feet of water main at a cost of the developer $287,000. We're charging them $60,000 in key money to support their project and improve our district. We're making them loop it from Rabbit Run to Doctor's Path, so we don't want just a dead end of pipe that feeds a bunch of homes with a single point of failure.
Right.
Neither do, and we don't want them to have that for fire protection reasons and stuff. So we require them to loop that to another water main as a redundant feed. And that's really to support their project at their cost. But doing that also helps the water district, because if some event happens in a nearby area, we have more water main, and we can move water more efficiently with more pipe and the more connections we have.
And you're not flushing and wasting water?
No, it loops means it comes from essentially two feeds from the same water system, so it can move by. You never want a dead end.
Yeah, but saying if it was
of
a
water.
dead end, you'd have to flush it. and
Yeah,
waste the
exactly.
water.
Then it would be a maintenance issue for me and a single point of failure and a risk for those homes.
And the developer is absorbing the full cost,
Yeah, the
correct, you
developer
said?
pays for all of this. There's no cost to the water district.
Okay, I guess this is the second one that we're seeing that the developer is adding to our infrastructure.
Yes, it always has to benefit their project, but
It benefits the town.
these do improve the system overall as well.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Do any
you.
members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Chip, do we have anyone online? Do any town board members want to be heard on this matter? No?
Good job, John. Making Frank look good.
Okay, we're going to now close the public portion, section of this hearing, and we're going to leave it open for written comments until 4:30 PM on September 30th, 2022, at the town clerk's office. Okay, our third public hearing was scheduled for 6:15 PM. It is now 6:33. And we are opening a public hearing regarding an alleged unsafe structure at 168 Creek Road in Wading River. I'll ask our town attorney, Eric Howard, to come forward and give us the latest details regarding this property. Eric?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. This concerns, as the supervisor said, property located at 168 Creek Road in Wading River. Previously, there was a public hearing held relative to this property on 10/6/2020 as to whether it's an unsafe structure and whether the town should demolish that structure. By resolution adopted on October 20th of 2020, the town board did deem it an unsafe structure and ordered the demolition. Subsequent thereto, the property owner got in contact with our building department and my predecessor and was given a period of time during which they could attempt to remediate or bring in an engineer to provide an alternate determination as to the structural sustainability of it. That was approximately 2 years ago. That hasn't been proven to our satisfaction at this point, and I believe we'll eventually receive testimony that the condition of the structure has deteriorated. That being said, it appears that I was remiss in providing notice to the property owner, so what I'll be doing is asking that the supervisor and the town board adjourn tonight's public hearing to October 4, 2020, to give my office and myself sufficient time to put the property owner on notice of this public hearing pursuant to the prior resolution which directed mailing with return receipt requested.
Eric, can we also hear some responses of the public?
If, yes.
I think
and-
we could, because it is a public hearing, that way you get that
Yes.
section completed.
Yes, and so if there was anyone from the public that appeared tonight specifically to speak about this public hearing, we'd be happy to welcome your comments with the understanding that I will be seeking to adjourn it to another town board meeting to be concluded.
Okay, so do we have anyone from the public present? Chip, do we have anyone else? Does the town board would like to add to this matter?
Get the diesel ready because the bulldozer's coming. This has been a long time waiting for this,
Sure has.
this house. This homeowner has played us and played us, so it's time.
Okay. So I think we are hearing no one. we're going to adjourn to continue and conclude this public hearing on October 4th, 2022, when we will continue and conclude the public hearing.
Do you want to share something, Frank?
Yes, Supervisor, I apologize, but as part of the public record, I need to submit the 2 mapping plans for my 2 public hearings today.
Okay, you're going to give it to the clerk, fine. Okay, so that's going to conclude that public hearing, and we're going to move on to our 4th public hearing, which was scheduled for 6:20, and it is now 6:37, for consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 263 of the town, Riverhead Town Code entitled Rental Dwelling Units. Eric Howard, our town attorney, is up again, and take it away, Eric.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. So this is a little bit of a clarification amendment to the town code. We put in a revision to the town code requiring an individual who's conducting a rental permit inspection on behalf of a property owner that is not from the town. So under the code as previously written, you could have a licensed engineer, a licensed architect, or a licensed home inspector provide the inspection for your rental permit application in lieu of having a code enforcement official from the town conduct that inspection. So the revision that we implemented was to require that engineer, architect, or home inspector to be a licensed code enforcement official by New York State, essentially telling us that they are competent to inspect a building pursuant to the Uniform Fire Safety Code and Uniform Building Code. After we adopted it, it came to our attention that the way that it was written was a little confusing as to whether that requirement that the professional be a licensed code enforcement official whether it was applicable to all 3 of those professions or whether it was only applicable to one. So this amendment is designed to make it crystal clear that that requirement is being applied to all of an engineer, an architect, or a home inspector.
Okay.
Give value to the word "a."
Do we have any members with us today of the public that would like to comment on this code revision? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Zahn, and I just want to voice my opposition to that amendment. The original amendment that was in June 9th, I believe, that was amended and adopted. The language was, in my opinion, was pretty clear that it was licensed engineers and licensed architects, as it has been in the last 12 years that the rental law has been in effect in Riverhead, were able to do these inspections without BSI certification. BSI certification is building safety inspector. That is really driven and developed for home inspectors. Home inspectors aren't licensed by the state without getting certified by BSI. Engineers and architects are. So I just believe that what you're asking for is very redundant. I don't believe that somebody that's got a license in New York State to practice architecture or engineering should be to go forward with a BSI certification. We are, as licensed architects and engineers, we have learning units that we have to obtain to keep our registration, which is, if you look at the verbiage, architects, we need 36 learning units for a 3-year period, which equates to 12 learning units of, continuing education units every year. BSI only requires 8. I'm just a little confused as why this has been brought up. That has been not a non-issue up until June. Neighboring towns, Brookhaven, Southampton, Southhold, licensed engineers and architects, as long as they're licensed and registered, can perform these inspections. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else?
If I could just clarify
Sure.
in response. When I reviewed this revision with code enforcement, it was reiterated by our town investigator that the intention of this revision was always to include that BSI certification for all three professions. So irrespective of the initial drafting, the intention was always to require that certification. Now, that's important to our code enforcement office because these rental permit applications are being reviewed, and the professional who's signing off on it is signing off that it's compliant with Riverhead Town Code and compliant with the New York State Building, Property Maintenance Code, and Fire Safety Code. So that is why they are seeking to require that they have this specific certification.
Okay. Chip, do we have anyone? There's no one from the public. Do we have anyone from the board want to comment further? No? Hearing no one, we're going to close the public portion section of this hearing, and we're going to leave it open for written comments until 4:30 on September 30th, 2022, at the town clerk's office. All right, moving forward to our final public hearing of the evening, which was scheduled for 6:25, and now the present time is 6:43. And we're now going to open a public hearing regarding the consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 302 of the Riverhead Town Code. Entitled Moratorium of the Development of Commercial Solar Production Energy Systems within the Town of Riverhead. And again, I'm going to ask Eric Howard to introduce the topic. Eric, please.
All right, thank you. On October 19 of 2021, the town board adopted Chapter 302, which is the existing solar moratorium. That code was effective upon filing with the Secretary of State. That was October 26 of 2021. And by its terms, that moratorium expires after 12 months. This is a proposed addition that would extend it for an additional 12-month period based on the reasons initially set forth for the moratorium, which was the pendency of the comprehensive plan update, which is a proper public policy reason to go forward with the land use moratorium.
Okay. Can we, anyone from the public want to come forward? No questions?
I have a comment.
Good evening, Mike Foley, Reeves Park. The land use reason for this moratorium is absolutely appropriate. I just think the confining it to solar is inadequate. So when we talk about warehousing and other issues that are land use relative, I don't understand why we as a town can't understand that because of extenuating circumstances with COVID, possibly a bad hiring decision with AKRF, and our continuing search for a consultant that can bring our comprehensive plan up to date and to fruition, that we can't consider expanding this beyond solar. I'll leave that as it is now because I understand we're talking about strictly solar. But Eric, the main reason for this was because the comprehensive plan was not completed, and that we felt when we put this moratorium in for a year, that by October of 2022, the comprehensive plan would be completed, correct?
I think that was the initial, within the initial timeframe, yes.
And seeing it right now, so that we don't have to go through this exercise ad infinitum, if the comprehensive plan is not concluded by April 26, 2023, is there a legal reason why you can't just put this moratorium in until the comprehensive plan is completed? Do you have to have a hard calendar date in order for this to be acceptable under state law?
It does need to end by a date certain.
Okay, so you can't just say pending the outcome or the completion of the comprehensive plan?
Correct.
Okay. Well, listen, certainly, any moratorium on any issue involving land use, I am certainly in favor of. I just hope that over the coming hearings, that we could get the town board interested in expanding this in the best interest of the town. Thank you.
Okay.
So I have a comment on this. 12 months to me is arbitrary. I would be in favor of 6 months, and if the comprehensive plan has not addressed this in 6 months, to then extend it. But I don't think that, that's the way, I'm concerned that this is an arbitrary 12 months. If the comprehensive plan addresses this in 4 months, and somebody puts an application in, right, that would give them 2 months to proceed, because the moratorium would expire in 6 months. I'm not going to make the assumption that the comprehensive plan is going to take 12 months, given that half of it's done already.
So, I think, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bob, but in reality, it's going to be 12 months before the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan is done. And I also have asked for digesters and battery storage systems to be included, or not to be included in this moratorium, but to have a moratorium for those also until the comp plan is done. I can't seem to muster up support, a majority support on the board on that, but I believe
Well, I
these,
support it. I think that we should look at
I
the,
believe they all
at
need
the
to be
impacts.
looked at through the comp plan
Yes.
for their impact.
yes, and it's a new technology, and we can't just go into this blind, so I think that I also do support it. And just, Devin, see if we can get the two, we'll have to, Tim, you want to talk to her about what we spoke about bringing back the candidates for the comp plan?
Oh,
But-
yeah, three candidates we interviewed for the comp plan, Cashin, H2M, and BFJ.
Yeah.
All submitted proposals coming back. We felt collectively as a board that two of them seemed to outshine one of them. And so we're going to ask two of them to come back Thursday for the work session. I'm not sure if they were able to schedule it.
No, we weren't able to, but Jeff, can you take care of that early
Okay.
in the morning, tomorrow morning, and see if that's possible? If not, we can,
If we can get them back on Thursday to go over, because quite honestly, the dollar amounts between the two of them, one came in at roughly $300,000 and one came in roughly at $800,000. Big difference. And we need to know what that difference is.
Why?
And we need to know why, and we need to compare apples to apples. The last thing we want to do is make a mistake and hire somebody that, similar to what we hired before, and get into that same situation. There is no room for error this time. And we need to get this comp plan done, and we needed to have it done by a competent firm. So I want to interview both of them again, and I want to see exactly why one is so much more than the other. They've written it out briefly, but we need more detail, and we need to get this going as soon as possible. So I asked the supervisor today if we could put it on for work session, and as soon as we can schedule them, hopefully it's Thursday. If not, then I assume next Thursday, but as soon as possible.
and just to add to that, Councilman Hubbard, these are the things that the anaerobic digester and battery storage, new technology, critical for us to look at the impacts and where it may go and what
TDRs
size.
Vertical TDRs
And what size, right? And where it's gonna go.
Absolutely.
So and this is something that has to be addressed through the comp plan. That's why they're gonna be getting paid. So we shouldn't move forward with any of these projects for now. And hopefully within a year, we'll know where we stand. Okay?
I hope it doesn't take a year. And again, by extending it 6 months, we have the option, if it does take longer, that to extend it 6 months. And I understand, I'm not going to make the assumption that this is going to take a year, given that we have a volume of information that's already been done by AKRF. And until I can hear with certainty from the two prospective new comp plan people, it's difficult for me to just go, okay, 12 months.
And, well, hopefully this will be resolved by this Thursday, if
Yeah,
not by
no,
next
exactly,
Thursday.
or next
so-
Thursday, that's
yeah,
fine.
Great.
Bob, I feel I got to respond to that. I have been as involved as I could possibly be in civic meetings with Jeff at AKRF. And I know we're looking heavily into TDRs because it really could be, as Frank has often said, a way of paying for open space by giving people the ability to put things where they belong, not where they don't belong. But I don't think we're even halfway through this comprehensive plan, and it's hard to gauge how much work was and wasn't done because of COVID. I mean, COVID shut everything down. It's certainly understandable, and it kind of interrupted the flow. But I think, I don't know where you think it's possible that this, I don't think 12 months is enough. That's why I was hinting at Eric. If you don't need a date certain, that you should put it contingent on the completion of the plan. I think we're 18 months out, and we don't even have a consultant yet. And I'm glad you're pushing it, Tim. I'm glad you're pushing for that. Sooner we get that done, better. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Chip, we'll take one more, Chip, and then we'll take you, okay?
John McAuliffe, Roanoke Landing. As I've said at other meetings, I think that you should stipulate that further proposals for solar should be with agricultural use that is being explored in other states and I think would fit better into the character of Riverhead if we're able to use that land not just for shiny plastic, but also for ongoing production in various fields of agriculture. The other thing is I would support strongly what Tim is saying about broadening the moratorium on projects and would add to it warehousing. Thank you.
Okay.
John had sent some information to us regarding, I'm not going to pronounce it right, but it was Voltaics?
Agrovoltaics,
Agrovoltaics.
yes.
Where in parts of the country, in particular, this article spoke about out in Colorado, where they're doing the solar farms, but they're also farming animals on the same property.
Underneath there?
Underneath it, obviously you're not going to put a horse farm on a solar farm, but they were doing, I think, sheep and smaller animals where they could still farm and graze the property, and yet they could coincide with the solar. So that was very interesting. I mean, obviously, I don't know of a lot of sheep farms out here this way, but it is always an interesting thing to look at as a possibility of doing something like that. I mean, chickens would certainly fit underneath
Yeah.
a solar panel, but
I don't think you're going to keep them off the solar panel.
but you got to keep them off the solar panel.
You're gonna take the eggs in right away from the heat.
Yeah,
If not
but
you'll
it
have
was an
hard-boiled
interesting
eggs.
read. I thank you for sending that in.
Yeah, so Massachusetts does it as well, and right now, we're waiting, when I say we, excuse me, I'm waiting, I am waiting for Ag and Markets to weigh in on this, because I think it's really, really important that we utilize agrovoltaics, because you're getting dual use out of the property, which I think is really important. And I think I might have sent you an email to that point, John.
Both of you did.
Okay, great.
Great. Anyone,
And it's not new technology, we hear these things and, there's 100,000 battery storage units across the country. This is not new, it's just new to Riverhead, and we shouldn't be afraid that something's new to us. I would urge people to go look. There's 1,400 anaerobic digesters in the country. There's not one that's coming to Riverhead as an experiment, and I would urge people to really just do some research and see where this stuff is being done elsewhere. Thank you.
and Chip, we have with us Sid.
Hi.
Hi, how are
I
you?
just, very little to add, because I agree with Mike Foley's presentation, and I also agree with Councilman Hubbard's concerns. And battery storage, the anaerobic digesters, maybe they are the wave of the future. But, let's make sure. And the town is going to be paying a lot of money for the comp plan. And let's get another set of eyes on this, who might be able to give us a clearer vision of, what we could do. As far as the time, 12 months, I'm trying to think back in the moratorium in 2003, and maybe this is a question for the town attorney. Can a moratorium, it has to have a date certain, but if the issue is resolved before the date certain, could the moratorium end at that time?
Well, it's a local law, so the town board could end it, ostensibly whenever they want.
Right.
Through a resolution.
Yes.
Well, with an amendment to the local law, you
Yeah,
just strike
with
the
an
local
amendment.
law.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's it? You have one more? Sure.
Good evening, Kathy McGraw, Northville. I won't take a lot of your time either. I'm in complete agreement with those who have already spoken. I think an extension of the moratorium is the right thing to do. And I would definitely go for the year and then rescind the law if it needs to be rescinded because the comp plan is done sooner. I'd also point out that I totally agree with the moratorium on battery storage systems and anaerobic digesters. I also think the warehouse projects, I really think the TDR idea is a good idea, but I think revision of the TDR program requires a GEIS, and I also think it would really benefit from the expertise of the consultants. I listened to the work session in which the consultants made presentations, and they seem to have very experienced and expert people on the issue of TDRs, and I would hate to see the town rush forward and make changes to the TDR program before the comp plan is completed. So aside from that, I totally agree with the moratorium, and I thank you for your time.
And Kathy, we had stated in the past that this comprehensive plan update must include the TDRs. And so we totally agree with you, and it's something that needed to be done for quite some time, and this is the perfect opportunity, so I agree with you. Anyone else, Chip? No one from the public in front of us? Does the town board want to comment any further?
Yes, I'd just like to know, I think it's kind of disappointing that there's been, from what I've gathered, there's been absolutely no work on the solar moratorium at all over the last year. And I'm just curious if the planning department has put anything in effect in terms of collecting any data from residents. Have there been complaints or issues, concerns, environmental things that have been raised, or anything, over the duration that they've been in place? Do we have a committee or anything that has been set forth to look at it? So if I'm correct, and I'll direct it to Jefferson Murphy, are we solely relying only on the company for the comprehensive plan to provide us with information for this moratorium? And has that typically been done in years past? So has there ever been a moratorium where we only do moratoriums and when we have comprehensive plan companies coming in? Like, can't we do some of this in-house to give us some type of consensus on what's going on and how to approach this?
All right, Jeff, good evening.
Good evening, Jefferson Murphy, Building and Planning Administrator. We did in-house a very quick and dirty analysis of the vacant remaining industrial land in the town of Riverhead. It is enormous. And we did an analysis based upon the calculations provided by the other solar farm applications on the potential amount of additional electricity can be produced by the additional expansion of solar farms if they built out to fruition, and the number of homes they would serve. It extends way beyond any potential build-out in the town of Riverhead. So one of the issues that we have that's going to be posed to you is there a fair share question? How much should town of Riverhead bear, and how much should other towns bear? Number two is, there's a fiscal impact with solar farms. I'm not an economist. I cannot testify as to the benefits in terms of property taxes or assessment. I'm leaving that to the people that have the knowledge and expertise in that. And we certainly do not have that with the planners in the town, and that's what we're going to be relying the consultants on. Three, solar farms do provide some benefits. They don't generate any traffic, no school-aged kids, very little services in terms of police protection, fire, that sort of thing. So there are benefits to solar farms. So it raises a number of questions, both positive and negative, because they do take up a tremendous amount of land area. They do not remove prime ag soils, unlike conventional building or structure, so there's another benefit of solar farms. So we did a very quick and dirty analysis. It was very telling in terms of how much potential energy they could produce, and the question is how much should the town of Riverhead bear? And that's going to require some expertise beyond what we have in-house.
And so I would hope that perhaps we would, maybe Madam Supervisor, you would schedule work sessions or something, that we're not just sitting idle waiting for the results of the comprehensive plan. Let's have work sessions and let's bring in some of the consultants while they're working on a plan, then let's start to build some type of information. So I just feel like nothing was done. And so I'd like to see us progress, if we're going to continue this moratorium, that we begin to have interacting studies. We have the experts come in. Let's start collecting data and putting things together, and not just sit. I feel like we're sitting idle. We're just waiting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
So Jeff,
Thank you, Jeff.
while you're up here, just out of curiosity, have you explored agrivoltaics?
Yes, and we think that's a very good idea. Before you were elected, Bob, we had this conversation with Ag and Markets and the Farmland Committee. Frank is, I believe, and Rob Carpenter sit on the state Ag Board, and they've been talking about that at Albany. And we'd like to incorporate that into the research and evaluation of solar farms as well.
Okay, and also, and what I'm looking at is in terms of where development rights are sold, okay? Can farmers farm and have agrivoltaics on that land where development rights are sold? I think that's an important aspect to look at.
Yep,
as well.
and one possibility, if we desire to continue to have solar farms, another possibility is to write a cluster provision for them. Another one would be to incorporate them as a receiving area for TDRs. So if they're taking up, we can have them require TDRs for them. So I think we have a lot of tools available to us to address all of the negative aspects of the industry.
Yeah, and I think since Tim and I are both on the comp plan committee, we could probably look at what the most pressing issues are, and we'll drive the bus with the comp plan people, as opposed to just they, are going to supply this or that, or what, I think we're in a position now to really look at pressing issues and to get them to work on those pressing, those issues that are pressing.
The one thing I liked by the consultants is that there's a GEIS component to.
Understood.
Both of them said that they're going to start on that as part of their step one. It's not just a linear progression of getting the comp plan completed. They're going to start with the GEIS as part of step one.
Which gives us the ability to look at sending and receiving areas
Immediately.
like that. Okay?
Immediately,
Which we
not
need
wait
to
until
do.
the end of the process.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So we now know what direction we have to have. The most pressing issue now is to follow up on Tim's suggestion of bringing them in, selecting hopefully by next week, and then looking. They did complete a certain amount of work. From what I'm told, that a lot of it can be used. There was no lost time in that respect. And so I have two board members, Tim Hubbard and Bob Kearns, and they know that this new contract has to be milestone driven, and the TDRs must be addressed, and so the solar. During COVID, a lot of people weren't able to get out. That delayed it somewhat. We're now starting back to our new normal, and unfortunately, the company did not meet up to our standards, and so we're going to move forward, and we're going to move forward very quickly. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Hi.
Hi, Mark Hobner from Aquabog.
How you doing, Mark?
I think thanks for your time. I'm just curious, I love hearing that the solar farm is providing electricity for 30,000 homes, because I get really excited and thinking, okay, so all of Riverhead and all of
Yeah.
Southold aren't going to have to pay the bill anymore. I don't think that's the way it works, right? It's like water in a pool, right? It's like water underground. It's from a pool. So we're not getting a direct benefit that I know. Right, we may get $1.5 million from, the community benefit agreement, yeah. But I don't think that's quite compensating us for our contribution to land. I guess, we've got other issues, but I want to support the idea of the moratorium on the things that we don't know about, and make some really coordinated efforts. I think that idea of a holistic approach on all these, because if you start adding animals and farmland to the voltaics, you've got, you got a whole bunch of things. We just realized tonight that we've opened up other avenues. I also want to say generally that we are in a time not of either or anymore. We're in the time of both and. So we can't, it's not just voltaic, it's not just electricity or just farmland, or it's not just this and or that. It's got to be all of it, and we've got to be very creative. I'm seeing it here tonight. It's like, oh, if we did this, then this. If we did this, then this, and that's what I like to see. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Just going back to the original discussion about the moratorium on solar and what was done and what wasn't done, there's also information that we need to extract from the solar farms that are currently up and running now that we can use to our benefit. There's information that in those plans and in scoping sessions that can be extracted and, again, put to good use in our new solar law or our solar code, what it's going to be. So there is some information that's at hand, but this is, again, what the comp plan people do for a living.
It's their job.
And they need to extract that. They get it from scoping sessions, and GISs and everything else. Put that information together and keep in mind, it does, and I've heard this word a lot lately, and it's very true, there's a cumulative effect to everything that goes on in this town. It's not just approve a solar farm and say, okay, good, we approved a solar farm, and then 2 months later, we're approving another, and then another. We have to look at the big picture, and we have to figure out what all this is gonna add up to. What resources are gonna be drained, what resources are gonna be needed to keep all these different energy programs going. And I don't have that scientific knowledge to decide what is and what isn't. And that's why we need to hire a competent comp plan company to do this, and that's why I'm pushing for these items to go and wait until the comp plan is completed.
That's their expertise. So, and I fully agree with you. And if they don't have the expertise, then they should have to go outside. And there's a lot of studies. There's a lot of empirical evidence that exists out there regarding comp plans. So, and again, this is an update, so this isn't a fully comprehensive. If you're starting from scratch, it could probably take you 3 to 4 years. And it costs you 500, whatever it is, maybe $1 million or over $1 million. So this is an update. A lot of our work was done. We have the mileage of the town, we have the hamlets, we have designation, we know where most of our farms are. And they just have to enhance what they have. So there's a possibility when they come in, hopefully this Thursday, if not next Thursday, they'll tell us that. We'll ask them. And that's a good question. So, Chip, do we have anyone else online?
We do.
Okay.
It's Mr. Ron Hariri.
All right.
Ron?
Good evening, this is Ron Hariri.
Good evening.
Madam Supervisor, you recently have been quoted in Riverhead Local as stating that the town is controlled by the two councilmen to your left, working in cahoots with the planning department.
This has nothing to
This-
do with this.
And that's
Cut
not
him
what
off.
was said.
Cut him off.
This
This
is
has
a public
nothing to do-
hearing
And they're-
on solar.
And they're going
Mr. Harari,
So my
you need-
question is, ma'am, given those admissions, what steps can you take to be sure that this important?
Mr. Harari, you need to be focused on this public hearing, and I'm not here to question you or respond to anything in the newspaper that obviously many times doesn't, it's not favorable on my end. So we're gonna end that here. This is not politics. We're not going down that route.
I'm just getting started.
Can you just get disconnected, please? Thank you. We don't have time for that.
Ron, call back if you want to talk about the solar moratorium.
Moratorium later on, okay?
That's what this is about.
This is on the solar moratorium. Anyone from the public want to come forward? You do have Sid Bale again. Would you please bring him forward? Okay, welcome back, Sid. Does he have his mic on? It looks like it should be, right?
You're on, Mr. Bale?
I had no more comments, no.
Hi, we can hear you now.
No more comments.
No more comments.
Oh, no more comments. You sure?
Raising your hand, Sid, come on.
Yeah, Sid.
Raising your hand.
Take the arrow away from the hand, from the computer. Okay, so no one else?
That's all.
All right, hearing no one, we're going to close this public portion section of the hearing, and I'm going to leave it open for written comment until 4:30 p.m. on September 30th, 2020 at the town clerk's office. And this concludes all our public hearings for today. And now we're going to move on to public comment on the resolutions before us today. Does anyone wish to be heard? Good evening.
Good evening, John Cullen over in Northville. Resolution 677, dealing with the parking permits for all the town parks. I take it that will start in 2023, and my question is, you're dealing with putting stickers on cars, correct, for residents only?
667, is this setting the public hearing
No, this is
No,
a
this is a resolution.
to adopt? Okay, yes, that's, it's placement of the permit, where it's supposed to go on the vehicle.
And that will be for all the public parks in the town, including Veterans Park?
That'll be for all the beaches,
It's for the vehicles
It's for the
they're
beaches.
referring to.
It's
where
for the
stickers
vehicles.
go on the vehicle.
where the stickers go on the
There's
vehicles.
been some confusion.
No, I
People-
understand that.
Yeah.
Will that be including Veterans Park?
It's just, it's the permits that you get to park at the beaches, at the town
Right.
beaches.
I'm reading, as I'm reading, I'm hearing, parks, playgrounds, dog parks, which is over at Veterans Park. So I'm wondering, are these permits, are these stickers on cars needed in Veterans Park?
That's just the title of that subsection of the.
Yeah, it's just stickers would be just for areas that require parking by permit.
No, I understand.
Yeah, we're not making Veterans Park a place.
Well, I
that
mean,
you gotta park
it's
by
been
permit.
that way for a long time, so I saw that, I just want to check. Thank you for your
All right.
time.
Thank you.
Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I want to speak on three resolutions, 677, 689, and 690. Real quick, Tim, I know for the last 3 years, you've been working with the civic associations on eliminating non-resident seasonal and daily passes. So I look at this resolution as more than just the placement of a sticker. It really just solidifies the fact that we're shutting down our areas to non-resident access. I remember what happened during COVID. I remember how many people from down out west that invaded our beaches, left them filthy, gave us all sorts of pollution and safety hazards. So I just want to thank you for a job well done on this, and I wholeheartedly endorse 677. On 689 and 690, it kind of relates, Eric, to what we were talking about with the water situation. And these have to do with 689 and 690 are kind of the same, extending the agreement for landfill monitoring and authorizing the town clerk to publish and post requests for proposals for landfill maintenance and monitoring going forward. Seeing that we have identified the owner of CMA Mines as a bad actor. This is a guy that operated a mulch area without permit, without proper permits.
Mike, what's this have to do with the landfill?
Say that again?
What's this have to do with the landfill monitoring?
I understand, well, let's talk about the landfill monitor.
If you want to talk about CMA Mines and whatever mulch operation is going on, can you do it during the open?
I'll certainly, the public comments, I understand, but I believe, Eric, that this is absolutely related to 689 and 690, because the monitoring you're talking about should involve any area within the footprint of Riverhead that has a pollution issue or a potential pollution issue, something that could create a health hazard for the residents of this town. So I want you to just think about that. And I want you to understand, and I'd like you to just look at, we're talking about monitoring. I don't think we should confine the monitoring to the Youngs Avenue dump. I think we have to identify areas in this town that propose a potential hazard to the water aquifer, and we need to move on that as a town if we are legally able to. And I'm looking at that independently, and certainly I will share with you any information I have. Because I understand right now the DEC is charged with monitoring the CMA mine. I don't trust the DEC. I don't trust them. I trust you. I trust Frank, that can go to a place and monitor it and confirm that CMA right now is working with the confines of their existing permit and not violating that permit by working right now as if the permit that they applied for to go 89 feet down into our aquifer is they are now working on it. I think this is something that bears independent monitoring on our part. I'm in favor of both of those, by the way, too. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Chip, do we have anyone? No. Okay, Devin, can you please come forward and read the resolutions? Oh, read Diane, call the resolutions.
Certainly. Resolution 675.
Who's got that?
Approve special event Chapter 255 application for East End Rowing, the Snowflake Regatta. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 676.
Appoints call-in recreation aides. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 677.
Adopts a local law amending Chapter 211, Section 14, Article 3 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Parking and Permits Related to Use of Recreation Centers and Facilities, Parks, Playgrounds, Public Bathing Beaches, and Dog Parks, subsection B1 entitled Seasonal Resident Parking Permit. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 678.
Ratifies determination over probationary employees. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 679.
Awards rebid for restoration of cupola at George Young Community Center. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Long time overdue. We had some issues and some problems, but we finally got them all settled, and I can't wait to see it. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 680.
I'm trying to get it up here on the computer.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give us a little bit here. This
Okay.
400
Awards
pages.
bid for 2023 or newer chassis, 10-foot, 304 stainless steel dump body, custom low-mount hitch, 10-foot stainless steel material spreader, 11-foot snow plow, and central hydraulics. So moved.
Seconded.
Kern.
Vote, please.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution
Oh, here's
adopted.
another big one.
Resolution 681.
Jeez.
Jesus.
This awards bid for chipper box truck. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 682.
Approves the attendance of one police department employee to the DCJS Public Safety Symposium. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 683.
I didn't need to see that one. I'm way behind on this.
These bids are so long in here.
Yeah, right?
Ambulance district budget adjustment, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 684.
General fund budget transfer for prior year. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 685.
General fund budget transfer. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 686.
Zenith Building Water Capital Project number 82219, budget adoption, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 687.
Oh, goody.
Finally.
Town of Riverhead requests to County of Suffolk for approval and sale of certain real property owned by the County of Suffolk, described as Suffolk County tax map numbers of District 0600, Section 128, Block 05.00, lots 00.1.00 and 002.00, located at Griffin Avenue, Town of Riverhead, Suffolk County, New York, pursuant to 72-H of the General Municipal Law. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 688.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post a public notice for a public hearing regarding an alleged unsafe structure located at 46 East 2nd Street, Riverhead, Suffolk County, New York, Suffolk County tax map number 600-128-5-31, pursuant to Chapter 217, Part 4 of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yeah, I just want to note that apparently, recently, the owner of this home went into contract for possible demolition, but we're going to still go forward with it, just in case that doesn't occur. And this house has been up, it's a safety issue. It was just recently tagged as an unsafe structure, and it has to come down. So maybe there is a resolution to this before we vote this in, but if not, this is a safety measure to ensure prompt demolition. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 689.
You have 689. I think
Yeah,
there's so
sorry.
many contracts here. It's like- Extends agreement for landfill monitoring, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 690.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post requests for proposals for landfill maintenance and monitor. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 691.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post bid for removal of household hazardous waste. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 692.
Amends Resolution 2022-77, approving special event Chapter 255 application for racetrack, not street, at EPCAL 2022 Fall Classic. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and that's simply because initially, their initial application had the 10,000 one-way, and then they moved it to the 7,000, so that's just everything to match. So it's just a matter of some housekeeping. And I think we have some resolutions being called off the floor after we pay the bills, correct?
We're not
Well,
done
there's a
yet.
couple.
Yeah, after we pay the bills.
Okay. Resolution adopted. Resolution 693.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute license agreement with the Department of the Navy, EPCAL Recreation Walking
Oh, there was another
Bike
one.
Trail. So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 694.
Roswell? You have it?
Pay bills.
Okay.
Second.
So moved.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Okay.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Now we have two off the floor. Who's going to do first?
I'd like to make a motion to take a resolution off the floor, and that motion is for authorizing the town clerk to publish and post notice for public hearing regarding U.S. HUD Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, 2023 funds. This is time sensitive, this is why we're doing this, so I'd like to make a motion to take this off the floor.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, we do have also a fifth member that we consulted with, because you needed 5 to take it off the floor, and we have contacted the fifth member. So yes, I vote yes, and I think we have one more resolution.
Yes.
Sorry,
Right,
I'll
town
I'll
board-
just clarify real quick. Pursuant to the town board rules, you have to have 5 town board members to pull resolution off the floor. Since Mr. Bayrod is unavailable tonight, he was contacted and he consented to a waiver of that rule for the purposes of bringing each of these resolutions off the floor.
Correct. Great.
Okay. Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice for public hearing regarding U.S. HUD Community Development Block Grant, CDBG 2023 funds. So moved.
Second?
Second.
Vote, please.
Sorry.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 695 is adopted.
So we're gonna make another, motion to pull a resolution off the floor. So I'll make a resolution, we'll call it 696. Authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the Oktoberfest Festival on October 1st, 2022, from 3 to 9 p.m. with a rain date of October 2nd, from 3 to 9 p.m. in Milton L. Burns Park, Grangerville Park, Peconic Avenue, Riverhead, New York. Make a motion, to pull it off the floor, so moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 696 is taken off the floor.
I'll read that resolution. Authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the Oktoberfest Festival on October 1st, 2022, from 3 to 9 p.m. with a rain date of October 2nd, from 3 to 9 p.m. in Milton L. Burns Park, Grangerville Park, Peconic Avenue, Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Can't really be Oktoberfest without it, so yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, I just have one question, Eric. So when you take something off the floor, don't you need 5 votes at that day?
So pursuant to the town board's rules, it says that in order to take,
Yeah.
to add a new agenda item, requires unanimous town board vote of all 5 members.
Right.
Councilman Bayrod was contacted.
Oh, he was, good.
He was notified of both of these resolutions, the substance of the resolutions.
Good.
And he agreed to a waiver of that rule for the purposes.
I know you said it, I just wanted to-
Allowing this to go forward.
So we had only two resolutions. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, great.
I am certain
glad
that
he picked
Councilman
up.
Bayrod wants Oktoberfest to go.
Oh, yes, he does.
Gets to
The
wear his
last
lederhosen.
event, they ran out of food. That's how packed it was, which is a good thing. The food is great, the music was great, and I can't wait, and hopefully you're gonna join us, everyone. So, thank you, Diane, and we're gonna now open up our meeting this evening to, any public comment on any matter. Do we have anyone from the public wanting to come forward?
Mike Foley, Reese Park. Tim, I just want to follow up on what you were talking about, cumulative impacts. There's just no question that when you put multiple projects in a location, it has a cumulative impact on the town. And when you talk about the real primary motive of the comprehensive plan, it's to put all those things together in a way that is beneficial to the town. The same way as you feel that moratoriums on the anaerobic digesters and on battery storage is called for. There are presently 3 projects for warehousing within a couple of miles in Calverton. That's about 2 million square feet of space. And if you had a chance to look at the planning board public hearing on it last week, there were an awful lot of strange allies, people that you'd never think would be up here talking about the same thing. A Teamster that talked about not wanting this, even though his members would be handling the construction of it. A nun that talked about the bucolic area that was about to be inundated with trucks. When the first one of these came to the planning board, HK Ventures, Barbara Blass stood before the planning board and talked about seeker requirements, and that there were 4 issues in seeker, any one of which, if had not been met, should have knocked the application down. All 4 of them were being violated by HK Ventures, and the planning board pushed it through. And now we have this new one, this logistics center up front. I think when we allow planning boards, zoning boards of appeals, and to a certain extent town boards, to go on to deal with individual applications, when we have a comprehensive plan that is in progress right now, I just think we're missing the boat. I think this is why I really want you to take a hard look at warehousing right now and put that, Tim, in the same mindset that you have for anaerobic digesters and for battery storage. Bob, it's not that we oppose anaerobic digesters. We want it put where it belongs. We don't want to put where the developer wants it. That's the point. And I just want to spend the last 2 minutes on the IDA. The Industrial Development Agency was taken over by the town of Riverhead decades ago to try and encourage businesses to come in here in order to get jobs, to have people have employment by their homes. It was needed then. Right now, we have more help wanted signs than we have applicants. There is no need to give tax breaks to any applicant that comes in here looking to build in Riverhead. If they can't be profitable in here without a tax break paid for ultimately by the residents of this town, then they should go elsewhere. And we're looking right now, some of the things are happening right now with the IDA applications by CAT. They want millions of dollars from us as a town folk to put this massive development together that they say they can't do without the taxpayers of Riverhead paying for a portion of it. I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's called for. And I think if they want to walk away for that event, they're doing our bidding. This is a piece of land that we could get twice what they're in contract for. Just having them walk away and put it on the market would be getting 80 million instead of 40 million. And would have better actors taking care of our place out there at EPCAL. So I want you to really take a hard look at what we can do to limit, if not to eliminate, the IDA applications in this town going forward. I had a brief conversation with Ed Denzeski on the planning board. Me and Ed don't agree with just about anything. We don't agree with anything. But we agreed on the IDA giving tax breaks now when they really weren't required. And when I left that planning board meeting, I looked over town hall, because honest to God, I thought I was going to see pigs flying. To have him agree with me on something like that. So I think we have to take a hard look at the IDA. I think we have to expand our use of a moratorium between now and the comprehensive plan. And I think if we do that, maybe we can salvage this bucolic town that we have. Put the TDR money to use in open space, put things where they belong, and make this town move forward in a way that we want it, not the developers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? You don't have anyone? No. Anyone from the board? Okay. You're good? We're good? Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting for this evening. Can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting? And
Motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Diane
So
wants to
moved.
stay?
Stay first. Everyone, have a great evening. Be safe.